And we're live with the one and only, the very talented Mednas. How you doing, brother?
Hey, how are you?
How's it going, man?
Good, good.
It's good to have you in here. It's
Thanks.
been talking about it for a while now.
Yeah, I appreciate your time.
Thank you, man. Anytime.
So why don't we just kind of run down, give the people who are listening, people who are going to be watching on YouTube, just give them a little run down of who you are, what you've been up to lately, and we'll go from there.
Well, as you know me, I'm DJ Mednas. I'm a resident at LIV, and also I do stories sometimes. I'm DJ producer. Been producer for a while. I have a couple of tracks on different labels. Spinning, Heldeep with Oliver Heldens, Size with Steve Angelo. I also have tracks on Axwell's label, Axtone. And I have a couple of tracks coming up. I can't say the labels now, but I have something coming up.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So how did you, we'll just jump right into it. How did you get started, in your career as a DJ?
Well, I always loved music. So since I was 5, I was just always playing around with instruments, piano, guitar, taking my uncle's old disco vinyls and funk, and making my own cassettes. So I can have I always wanted to have exclusive music that nobody else had, and my uncle was a fanatic disco and funk and all the classics. So always had that access to his collection and made my own cassettes and stuff. And then it grew up in me, and then I fell in love with this band from UK. It's called Depeche Mode. So that's
Depeche Mode's awesome. Yeah. I love it.
So that's what got me into electronic music. I was into all kind of music, and Depeche Mode got me really into the electronic music. And then around mid-90s, I discovered the DJing, turntablism. It was big at that time. So I started playing, DJing at home and stuff, and then picked up from there.
I don't think a lot of people probably understand what a cassette tape is anymore.
Probably maybe CDs.
Yeah, even that.
The newer generation.
I remember having the CD with the clip.
Oh,
so you clip it on your waistband while you worked out, the big foam headphones. Oh my God, different times we lived in before Apple came along.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
I had the Walkman. I remember those Walkmans, and I had the waterproof one. It was so cool to have it.
So I gotta ask you, going through that journey and your story, climbing up, to where you are today. What was that moment where you knew that, this was it, this was your blow up?
Well, the funny thing is that I was always into music, but my parents are kind of not old school, but pretty conservative. So for them, it's school. You have to go to school and become someone. Either they don't have music was a hobby. It wasn't something that you can make a career of. So my parents were you have to go to school, finish school, and then this is just a hobby. You cannot make it your career. And I got to a point where so I went to Spain. I did the American University in Spain, and at the same time I started DJing. I was DJing at the time, but I actually was DJing in clubs. So when it started picking up, I was in the middle. I was should I keep keep going to school, or because I already started touring in Europe and stuff, and I was I don't know. So I took a year off, and then I started DJing and started picking up. I started getting more and more gigs. And at some point, I had to get back to school because after 3 years, I think you lose all your credits.
Yeah.
So, and I had 1 year left to finish. So I came here to the U.S. I went to St. Louis University. I graduated in international business and finance. And I was you know what? I got my diploma. Now I can do whatever I want. So I sent the diploma to my parents. I was here is it. I'm going to Miami. So in 2008, I moved to Miami, and that's how it's like. Actually, I started from zero again because
Wow.
in Europe, my people like kind of knew me, but here like nobody knew me, so I had to like network, go out every night, make friends, get like introduce myself, get gigs, play for free, until like start picking up. So I started getting residencies. At that time, it was Set. I started getting residencies at Set, Mansion, and I moved to LIV after that.
That's awesome. I wanted to ask you real quick too. Coming in 2008 to where we are now, that whole club vibe scene and the music scene. What was your favorite era during that time from when you came in?
Well, from 2008 to 2010, beside the crisis at the time, it was kind of hard to like the clubbing was kind of like different because it was very, very commercial, and I came from Europe with like kind of underground style, and I had to adjust and adapt, but I didn't want to kind of sell out, so I was like holding back to my roots and making things similar to what people know, so I can get at gigs, but at the same time I can play, like decent music. I don't want to be like, play cheesy stuff. And the best part was like 2008. That's where electronic music started picking up in Miami again, because it used to be big and then it went down. And then 2008, it was like a blowout till like 2016, and then it kind of stagnated.
How have you, you witnessed it firsthand, right? Like, how have you seen the nightlife industry change in Miami since you got here in 2008 to now? 12 years. Miami changes, I feel like, every other 6 months,
Yeah, the thing is that there's like trends, and people follow the trend, So like when I came here, it was almost open format everywhere. Like if you play house music, like you really like have a hard time finding gigs. And the only place that had like decent music was Sundance Set every Sunday. That's why I started playing there, because at least I could play what I really like. And then after that, the scene kind of like became like too commercial, because like there's like every let's say between 5 to 8 years, like there's like a transition, because you have like generations. So like I have generations that used to go to clubs and they get married and that's it, like they don't go out anymore. And then you have the young crowd. So in between that transition, it's really hard for a DJ, because you have the new people coming into like clubbing scene, the nightlife scene. They're not into it, so they want to hear what they hear in the radio. So they're not into club music, and that's the hardest, part is the transition. And then once they get used to the club music, then you have like another 5 years where you can play whatever you want, and then it's like cycle, and it's coming back, like it keep coming back again.
That's crazy. You mentioning that, sometimes you would think that people come out, oh, DJ's just going out there and DJing, but there's so much more to behind it, and understanding all that, which I think that's pretty insane and challenging. So my next question would be, you mentioned trends.
Yeah.
Who or where or what do you see that starts these biggest trends, and how do you adapt to it yet not change your craft at the same time?
Well, the thing is, the trends come with sounds. So you have like a DJ that comes up with a sound that stands out. Like recently we have Fisher, who came with like, it's not like an old sound, but like he just made, it's tech house, but it's big room tech house. It's something that you can play like in the big rooms. Before tech house is not like, it's more like, it's a groovy music, so you have to play it like in more like intimate room. Not like, it's not made for like big rooms, And he came up with that sound. He made it like really huge sound, and so it kind of like brought up again the kind of like the underground sound mixed with like kind of like mainstream sound, but it's not cheesy, and that's what like makes actually like a trend. So now like everybody jumped on that trend, and you see like a lot of producers kind of like imitate that sound, and that's what happened a couple of years back with EDM. You know, you had like 5 big hits, and everybody copied those tracks, and for 5 years, like you keep hearing almost the same tracks because they're a copy of. They're like, there's no like they're not bringing something new, so they just copy those 5 tracks that are actually working, and they keep on going like for 5 years until like it dies out, and then there's a new sound.
Crazy.
How do you keep your originality, right? Because you have your roots, you have what you like. You know, you mentioned Depeche Mode. You know, we were talking on our way in here about, you know, Tiesto and a bunch of other names. How do you keep your roots, your, you know, foundation of how you learned how to produce, along with trying to, you know, maintain those trends and try to, you know, follow or help kind of jump on and start the new wave of music?
Well, the thing is that like the mistake that a lot of producers do is when you jump on a trend, it's hard to build your name and it's hard to stand out because you're just another DJ that's doing that same sound. But if you like, how I see it is the most important is your musical background. If you have a like rich musical background, you can always get inspired from something. Back in the days, you know, like I like back in the days, like I used to listen to everything. Like beside Depeche Mode, I listened to Ben Harper, Pearl Jam, No Fun at All. Like it's something like everything, like, you know, it's like different styles, like from punk to like, you know, like rock to like pop. And that's what like, and even like hip hop, like I grew up with like the 90s hip hop. And that's
The golden age.
Yeah.
It's the best of the best.
So that's like most of my samples, they come from that, like the R&B from the 90s and like hip hop, you know, like I start with like a sample from an old, you know, classic, and I build around it and then remove it, and then I have my, you know, my track. It's you know, it's different from everything, but it has something that when you listen to it, you're like, oh, I kind of know this sound, but like I don't know where I heard it, you know. That's what makes you like makes your sound and makes your signature, and that's very, very important.
That's
because
super
it's
cool.
it's easy to copy, you know, like I can reproduce the same track, but they know it's not, you know, like when they hear it, they're like, oh, it sounds like Fisher, it sounds like this guy, because he came up with that sound. So they would never think of you. So that's how like a lot of people do that mistake. They would never stand out because they just copy. Like,
So I gotta ask you, you know, at your performances or, you know, when you're at the clubs doing your stuff, how wild does this guy over here get? How wild?
I'm the guy. I'm the guy sitting down in the corner.
How wild does Josh get?
I'm on my phone. I don't
know. He tells me some stuff, so
Nah.
I gotta hear.
I hide in the corner.
he's a party guy. I can say.
You know, having, you know, worked with a lot of the people that you work with at LIV, you know, Jimmy, John, Blizzard, all those guys, you know, being around the scene for a little while, it's always interesting because, you know, you open for a lot of the people, but when I tell my friends like, oh, we're going to go to LIV, I'm like, all right, we're going to go like 11 and then we're going to leave at 2. And they're like, no, but don't they go on at 2? I'm like, no. But the person I want to listen to is opening up. So much better music in my opinion. And of course, every time we go there, they're like, yeah, this is really good. And I'm like, yeah, I think like Skrillex or someone's on, you know, and they all have great music, but like you said, you know, just like the original sound, all the stuff that you're always putting out, it always, I feel like, gets everyone going, gets them in the mood, doing exactly kind of what you should be doing, you know, and, you know, kudos to you for being able to do that. But how was it, you know, getting that call from Dave Grubman being like, hey, I want you to be the, you know, the resident opener?
Well, it's funny because I like I mentioned, I used to play at Set on Sundays, and Eric Morillo was very good friend of one of the promoters that used to throw that party. And he wanted to start like a brand new party with like a DJ that nobody knows, you know, fresh, everything fresh, because he didn't want like any local. And he came to Set, and he was like, you know, I knew Eric before, like in Ibiza, but like we weren't like very close. So he's like, who's this guy playing? He's like, is he from Miami? He's like, yeah, like he just moved to Miami. He's like, nobody knows him, you know. And he's like, yeah. And then a friend of mine, Christine, she used to host that party, and she was about to make the move from set to move the party from set to Arcadia, which before Live it was like no, I mean there was Live, but there was Arcadia next to it, like a small club. So they wanted to start like Thursdays with the Eric Morillo's party, Subliminal party, and so they're like, oh, okay, let's give it a try with this guy. Like I want everything brand new, fresh. I want to start fresh party in Miami with like everything, and that's how it started. So I started playing the Thursdays, and then Live at that time they didn't have a resident for Saturdays for like a house music. So they whenever they had like a house DJ, they had like an open format, opener, and Dave was like, okay, you know what? Let's give him a try on Saturdays, to start like doing the house night, and that's how it started. Like, Eric loved me. Like, it was like, I want you to be like the main guy for the party. And when I moved to the Saturdays, so every time I played before a DJ, they were like, oh, like I really like your music. Can you send us your music? So that's how I started building like a networking with all the big DJs, and now like whenever I have my music, I just send it directly to them. That's how it happened.
That's awesome.
It and kind of like with what we do, I feel like being at the right place at the right time and being prepared more than anything, is super important. How do you get yourself ready, either, when you decide like, okay, I need to produce some new tracks, or even, on a nightly basis when you're going to play at Live or Story, like how do you get yourself mentally ready for those things?
Well, I mean, you always have to be ready, and you always have to be ready for like to play the whole night. So that's how I see it. Like when I go to play at Live, I'm like if I'm I'm headlining the whole night, you never know what's gonna happen. So you have to be ready like for any scenario. So the way I prepare, like now I know the room, like Live or Story, I know the room like my pocket. Like I know how to read the crowd. I know exactly what to play. I know what kind of vibe I need to bring without like pushing it too much. And at the beginning, like you have to look for the right track, and then you try it. But now, like since I've been resident for like 10 years now, and now like I hear a track, I know like exactly what I can play it. I can also I do like a lot of edits and bootlegs. Like I remix songs, and I take like a piece of vocal and add it to my sound. So I can get people going. They hear it, they're like, oh, I know this song, but like, oh, it's not. No, it's different. So like I kind of trick people with that, like tease them. So basically that's like you said, mentally, like I'm always ready for like anything. Like I always know, like when I prepare my sets, I'm always like, he's like, listen, I'm the main guy, like I have to be, like I have to be ready for like, just in case the DJ doesn't show up.
For sure.
He messes up, like I have to take over. So that's how how I see it. Like every night, I'm thinking of like playing the whole night.
So since we talked about the topic of mentality and that preparation, what would you say right now during the times that we're in? How are you approaching your field, and what are you doing right now to keep momentum moving and going, and be able to still do what you love and be able to grow in it and flourish from it?
Well, I mean, like these times are kind of like little different. Like it's basically like I think like we all like this is like we never thought that we're gonna live something like this in our lifetime. Nobody was prepared for it. Nobody knew like how to handle it or like to deal with it. And like the first 2 weeks when we heard about this, I was like, well, like it's something that's gonna be like out like after 2 weeks, a month, we're gonna get back to normal. And then little by little, like you see like how the events are like unfolding and everything. You start thinking, it's like, okay, I don't know when I'm going back to work. I don't know when the clubs are gonna open. I don't know like what's gonna happen. So I need to keep, my name out there. I need to like keep going, like if I'm DJing, but without DJing. So I put all my focus in like a music production and my radio show, like my branding, everything. So I'm acting like if I'm still like having like like my gigs, but without going to the club. So like I'm just like producing more and more music and still like in touch with the trend and see like what sound works. And now I'm actually since like the club scene is not happening like in the States right now, I'm focusing on more like streaming music. So whatever I produce, I make it more like streamable because I know people are not like there's no point of making like a club banger. So I switched it like to more like vocal, something like for like streaming outlets,
like chilling, hanging out.
Yeah, I mean not chilling. It's like kind of groovy stuff that you can.
But just stuff that you can put on like SoundCloud.
Yeah, and you can listen to it like in your car.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
At the pool, everywhere. It's not like just. You can even play it at the club too. It's just like a different, time of the night.
I love that you said all that, especially how you said you kept moving forward as if you still had your gigs. And I think that's important. Me and Josh have talked about that a lot, where you can see a lot of people where they kind of get disappointed or they kind of get discouraged to continue doing something. They're just kind of waiting until this is all over, just sitting at home, waiting around, not doing much. Where I feel like in any industry, hearing that is important because I feel like people need to realize too that, use this time wisely, take advantage to focus on these other areas, or how can I enhance my current job and how can I make it better, even though I may not necessarily be doing what I typically do, but how can I adapt, make this better and make this work, or what are the other areas that I can focus on to be able to eventually then flourish from that or just add upon that. So I really appreciate you talking about that because I feel for our listeners, hearing this from different types of fields, not just health, fitness, certain entrepreneurs, but also too in the music space, as a DJ, like hearing what you're doing and how you've continued to, grow throughout this process. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I've like throughout life, like you go like with like through like ups and downs, like even like when like normal times, like you always have like ups and downs, like we're all human, we are emotional beings. And as a surfer, like I thought of it as it's like emotional like wave that you have to learn to to surf it.
For sure.
It's because like when you get mad, you don't get mad for like years. You get mad for like a couple of minutes and then you go back down. So it's like a wave, like it goes up and then it has to go down. That's it. And you just have to learn how to kind of like ride it until like you cool off and then you get back to what you have to do, and that's it.
Speaking of those waves, I know before all this was going on, you were touring a decent amount as well as playing at LIV and Story. Can you kind of share your experiences while on the road touring? Because I feel like, the most people that, they think DJing, they think like, oh, you're the center of attention. There's, girls with the fucking flashing lights.
He is the center of attention.
Bringing the bottles around and, everyone wants to be in the booth and all this different stuff. But there's another side to it, just like every other business, So maybe, if you can kind of give our listeners a little insight into like what you're doing in your free time when you are touring, not in the booth DJing, and like what experiences you've had, good and bad, along the road while you've been out doing so.
Well, I mean, I can tell you one thing that every touring DJ will tell you is that they hate traveling. It's like people say it's like, oh, this guy is going all over the world. Sometimes I don't get to see the city. Like I did, like I remember when I used to do like tour in Brazil. I go for a week. I don't get time to see like one city. I go from the airport to the hotel, shower, go to the gig, back to the hotel, shower, back to the airport. I don't see the city. I've been to like so many cities like in Brazil. Probably like Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro. That's the only cities I kind of visited. But the rest, like most of the time when you travel, it's like in and out. So you don't you're not actually traveling. And sometimes, you know, like when you travel alone, like you get to like places where you don't know anybody. So you DJ, like you meet the promoters that who booked you, and that's it. And then you have to like to leave. And it's at some places like it's hard when it gets lonely sometimes, because you travel somewhere where like you don't know anybody. Like one time I DJ'd in Singapore, and it took me 2 days to get there, DJ'd, and then 2 days to come back. So
like a 5-hour set, and then you're out. Yeah.
And and Singapore is.
Did you at least
really
get to try the food there or something?
I went to like for dinner, and like I went to that famous hotel, like the pool, like an infinity pool thing, and that's it. I mean, I didn't get to enjoy the city for like more than a couple of hours, and also like I was so jet lagged because it's like 12 hours ahead, I think. Yeah.
How do you do that? Like performing? Like how do you push through that?
Lots of Red Bull, I'm sure.
You build your own routine, so you kind of get familiar with with time zones. So you're like, okay, they're like 5 hours ahead. I'm gonna like not sleep before. So like you kind of like do some math. Like I'm not gonna sleep. I sleep when I get to the hotel.
Josh is the master at that, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten good at it. I mean, even like when I used to work, in athletics, we used to be I traveled every weekend, and we would have, walk through, but I'd want to go out with my friends sometimes. So I wouldn't sleep and then, go to the walkthrough. Then we'd be right on the plane, go to there, set everything up. It's, like you said, being on the road, everyone thinks it's this glamorous thing. And, it's a job like any other.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I love traveling and everything. It just sometimes it's like, it's stressful because you get to places when you want to see the city and like the culture or something because it's completely different. And you don't get to see it. So
I gotta ask you, so I know Miami's a great party city, it's one of the best in the world, but your honest opinion, do you feel Miami's the best party city in the world, or where would you say is the best party city in the world from your experience?
Well, I mean, I've seen a lot of places, and I think Brazil like it's crazy because whenever I play there, so I headline. And then they don't tell me at what time I have to stop. And every time I ask the promoter, it's like, hey, at what time you guys close? It's like, when people leave. And they never leave. So they never leave. Like one time I kept playing till I think 6 a.m. And the only reason I had to stop the music because I had to go to the airport.
Oh shoot.
What's the longest set that you've played in a club? Or just like any outdoor venue party?
I don't know. It's like 8 hours.
Okay.
8 to 12.
That's a long time. Yeah, that's a lot of tracks.
Like my knees were like.
Yeah, someone got a chair for me to sit in.
It's. I mean, there's DJ. I think Solomon played 24.
Oh yeah, for New Year's. Yeah, I think I was there for 18 hours of that.
Yeah.
That was,
so I don't know how they do that.
I was exhausted.
Just after 12 hours, first you run out of music, and then you
yeah.
you
I mean, the
cannot
Martinez
focus.
brothers, playing at Space for 40 hours. Jesus,
it's crazy.
It's insane. Is there, I mean, a lot of people, they like Mednas said, they know of Miami as a big party scene, Ibiza, Mykonos, Saint-Tropez. Is there any low key city that you would recommend people who really like to, experience a real, nightlife culture that they might not have thought about?
Like a hidden gem.
Yeah.
Well, here in the U.S.?
U.S. or worldwide. I feel like the U.S., you can't beat Miami. Like L.A., New York, they don't.
Yeah, I think in the U.S., I think Miami, San Francisco, maybe. But Miami, they will find any excuse to party. So especially
all day, any day.
Yeah. So especially Miami's you don't feel like you're in the United States. There's so many people. Nobody's from here actually.
Yeah.
So
except for him, he might be one of the
yeah. I mean, you're not but what I meant is there's so many people from outside Miami. It's everybody who's here they really want to enjoy
especially on the beach. It's a very European, South American vibe.
Yeah, and the weather is helping. So
the ones that are from Miami, you're gonna get a lot of Kendall people.
So that's a hard question you asked me. I think Toronto is it's a good city. Like,
Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually from
Never
like,
been.
you know, maybe 4 hours from Toronto and upstate New York. I'm like right from on the Canadian border. And,
Oh yeah, I played in Syracuse.
oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. Yeah.
Syracuse always gets brought up somehow.
yeah. He's always like,
Somehow
"What
it
the
always
fuck,
gets
dude? How
brought
do you
up.
know people that know where?" I'm like, I don't know. It's not even that big of a city. Like, how was that, by the way? Where did you play? You played at Westcott Theater.
I forgot the name of the club. It's actually like a resort.
Oh, it's at
casino.
it's at Turning Stone, right? At the
Yeah, exactly.
at the
I
Indian
forgot the name.
Reservation.
I think the club was Lava.
Yeah. How was that playing for a bunch of like upstate New Yorkers? Must have been
It
interesting.
was good. The only thing that's like I've never been to like a place that cold.
Yeah. yeah. It's when did you go? You went in the wintertime, right?
I went in January.
Oh fuck.
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
no, that's the worst. I mean, I try to explain to people, you know, what it's like cuz they're like, "Oh, you know, does it get cold?" I'm like, you have no like words cannot describe how cold it is
No,
out there.
it's cold. And the funny thing is that I started this exercise with like a Wim Hof thing. There's like the
Oh, the breathing
thing
stuff, yeah.
and the cold showers. So my routine is like taking cold shower every day.
Now the water's already cold there. You don't.
Yeah.
you don't
When
need
I
to,
got there-
yeah, you don't need to turn the water down.
When I got there, I was like, I'm not gonna stop. Like I need to like, like keep with my routine.
Especially if you're standing for 10 to 12 hours.
yeah.
Yeah, and I was trying like the cold shower, and I swear like it felt like needles.
Yeah, ice cold.
It was ice cold, and I was like, no, I have to do it. I have to do it.
Yeah.
And like I had like a headache, like I was like, and then like I cheated a little bit. I added a little bit.
Yeah, no, people always think like, you know, oh, it must be nice being from there. There's lots of like, you know, wooded areas and stuff. I'm like, well, it's nice for like 3 months out of the year. And then
Yeah, maybe in summer, but not
yeah,
in-
the rest of the time
in
it's
the
like
winter.
6 layers, you know, you're never outside. It's
It's
I
crazy.
mean, it's the snowy city in the country, actually, Syracuse.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
I
mean, they
didn't
get
know
like
that.
6 to 8 feet every year.
I thought Minnesota or Green Bay are one of those.
Now,
places.
Minnesota gets colder. It's like -40 there, but Syracuse gets the most snow.
Jeez.
The snow belt because
I know
all the
Buffalo's
lakes
bad,
and stuff.
too.
Yeah, Buffalo's bad. Where I'm from like 90 miles north, so like right on the Canadian border. So a little colder, a little less snow because we don't get all that lake effect. But fuck, man, if you grow up there, you're hard. You know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you can
like,
you can
be
deal with
anywhere.
you can deal with anything. A little scratch doesn't hurt, nothing. You know, so. But it's interesting hearing, you know, you say like all these different pockets, different areas, because when, you know, when my friends come down from New York and stuff, I feel like they get so overwhelmed being down here. I'm like, all right, you guys gotta, you know, you don't have to go full crazy, full retard all the time. Like you can kind of back it down, you know, because we're gonna be out for a while. You guys, you know, we're not in New York where everything closes at 3 or 4.
Well, I mean, no, in New York, I think they close at 5 too. They the clubs.
Some
at
places,
We'll give them an extra
some
hour.
places, yeah.
Yeah. No, but the thing is that here in Miami, you can go out like all week.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Monday
That's the
through
thing,
Monday
yeah.
through Sunday.
There's always something. New
It's
York,
crazy.
they're more like, they know like they have to be at work. Like it's like.
Yeah, you can't not show up to JP Morgan.
Yeah. So, here, like everybody,
They
like,
have to work.
every business starts at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Like they're like they have to take their their coffee. Like they have their routine. So like it's not as stressful as New York. So that's why like we're more laid back here, and the weather is always nice. So
You know, to kind of you know, get off of the touring subject and kind of I want to know a little bit about your process when you are creating new music, you know, because that's kind of I've always loved music. You know, we've always worked in gyms, so music has always been around. You know, how is that process like from start to finish when you're like, okay, I want to make some new tracks, or I need to make some new tracks? Like, how do you get started with that? Like, other than maybe like other music artists or other bands, like where do you pull your inspiration from, and then, you know, where do you take it from there?
well, I listen to a lot of music that is not house music related, like completely different styles, and sometimes like you listen to something and it clicks. It's like, oh, I can use this, and you can use it, and nobody will figure out like where you got it from. So, and usually what like my process is, like I start an idea like a loop, and then I try like a vocal, I try like a melody, like from an actual track, or like commercial track or something, and I add it there, and I kind of like because I need to find a direction first, because if you don't have a direction, you're gonna be all over the place. You're gonna try this, that, and then you try like a kick is completely from a different style, or like a melody that doesn't fit, or like a bass sound that is not, so like you have to find the direction and then take it from there, like you know where you're going, so like you know like how your track will sound, like a final sound, so like you have some sort of direction. So that's how like my process is. I always start somewhere and know where I'm going, and
So in that process, like, where do you know where not to cross that fine line of, like, if you're using other pieces from other people's music or something you heard, like, when do you know, like you're saying, how to hide that, or how do you know how much to use of it, and when is it like, okay, I can't?
Yeah, when is it like, all right, I'm definitely,
this is too
I'm
much.
ripping this. I got copyright infringement issues.
I mean, sometimes you use a sample that if you want to keep it, you clear it after that.
Okay.
I did it with like a lot of artists. Like you just use theirs like.
Whose music you taking? I'm just kidding.
Well, like one of my like biggest tracks I had is with Sid. It's called Ill Behavior.
Epic.
Yeah,
Great track.
And I signed it with Steve Angelo on Size. And so that track is from an artist called ADOR. That's like the main artist. But like we use the sample, we use just the acapella from like a normal, like the acapella of the original track, but just to start like the track, like to work on the track. And then once the track came at the, like, like we had like the main idea and everything, and I was like, okay, we have to clear this. So there's like services that you pay, and they contact the labels, like whoever owns the rights, and they clear it. You pay, or like there's like different deals.
Gotcha.
Like you get like a percentage or something.
Kind of like in the hip hop music when they use some of this old school backdrop music or what's it called, the instrumentals and stuff like that.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what they do. I mean, I know some artists where like they just
rip it on.
release it and they don't care. But like if you get caught, if your track gets big and you get caught, like they can go after you. And
but I don't know, just to kind of know, is it worth it if, like, let's say that track is so big that you just make shit ton of money off of, or you blow up and your name blows up? Like, is it worth it? Like, we're to the point where, yeah, you'll have to pay a pretty hefty fine, but was it worth it, or it's not worth it?
Well, it depends. If it goes big, I mean, your name obviously is gonna get bigger. But like on the back end, you're gonna have to pay people. It like depends. Like especially like the worst part is like if the artist is dead, and you have to deal with his family or the label. Oh, that's it gets sticky.
Yeah, I'm sure that can be interesting. They're trying to get as much out of that as they can.
Yeah.
Milk it.
How is it collaborating with other artists?
It's always good. I think like I encourage people to do it, whether it's like in music or like any other field, because you can see the way they work. It's always different from you, like from how you do things. Like there's sometimes, like I like for example, I process a sound. I add like so many plugins, like to end up with like a sound. And like when I work with someone else, like they do like just 2 steps and they get the same sound, like similar sound. I was like, okay, this is more like simplified. So so you learn something to simplify your simplify your work. And I bet like in fitness too, like
yeah,
when you have like you do a movement and then you do like a simple movement, you do more work actually than.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it all the time, like the way he handles his business and the way I handle my business, like we're 2 completely different people, but we always tend to, get to relatively the same point by the time we're finished. So it's, you're dead on. We like collaborating with a lot of people too, because, it is a lot of fun. It is a lot learning the ways people process, even, having these conversations with people like you. Like I learn a lot because I can kind of see how you tick and the little nuances by which, you handle things, even, with the way that you talk to other people and all that. So it's always a learning experience.
So, I mean, there's, it's always about like a perspective. Like everybody's like looking at things differently. So you have like a different perspective. Like you see things differently, and then like you see it like in a way I will never think of it,
For sure.
And then if we work together, you're probably gonna show me. It's like, wow, like you know, like it was that simple, and I was like you know, because at some point, like I think I am. I'm kind of perfectionist. Like I want things like to be like on point, and it's kind of like it's like I found out like recently that it's kind of like blocks you, like it paralyzes you from like progressing because you're like you want to be like so, you know, like perfect.
Yeah.
That is impossible. Like we're not perfect. Like imperfection actually is perfection.
I was about to say that.
Yeah.
You know, so like I used to get like writer block, like because I'm producing a track and I was like, I have it in like the way I have it in my mind. It's not the way it sounds. Like I wanted like, and I used to get stuck and I never finished the project. And like I got to a point where like I had like 20 projects. I could, you know, you could do like make an album with it, but like I never finished them because I'm so like, you know, like perfectionist, and I want to have it like, you know, perfect that I never finish it. And I got to a point I was like, you know what, I'm gonna finish the track no matter what. Even if it sucks, like it's done. Like I finished it, you know, and that's how I think of things now.
How do you get over those, you know, those roadblocks mentally? We all go through them, you know. Mednas and I are the same in that aspect. So like how do you kind of, you know, tell yourself, you know, go through that process of being like, okay, like, yeah, it could be better, but at the same time, like, you know, the amount of time that it's going to take me to make it like 2% better, is it really worth it compared to like me moving on to a new track? How do you work yourself through those mental barriers?
Oh, I take breaks. Like when I get to a point where like I'm stuck, like there's no point of me like sitting, zoning out in front of my screen, not being productive. So I just take a break, go walk my dog, go like do something completely different, take a break.
Some of that Wim Hof breathing.
Yeah. Get something like, you know, or like just do nothing, you know, like take a break for, you know, like be lazy, you know, and then get back to it. Yeah, you're like fresh. You're like, maybe you got another idea. Maybe like when you listen to it again, you see where's the problem. I think you shouldn't force yourself. Like when you block on something, there's no reason for you to keep working on it. Like if you're stuck, take a break.
That's awesome. So from taking those breaks, just curious, have you recently or in the past, what would you say during one of those breaks, or which break was it that you felt like you, or that hit song or that hit track came out of? What break was that? Just curious, like what was that break that you took that made that one track for you explode? How did that look like?
Well, usually when I take a break, I don't go back to it like the same day. I go back like the next day. I take like a good night of sleep and
go shred some waves.
Yeah. I mean,
so it's not like, I took a break and then I thought about this. It's just more.
Yeah, like you don't have to force it. Like,
okay.
You know, especially when you when it comes when you're like in a field where like you have to be creative. Once you force it, you're not creative anymore. Like you become more technical, and it doesn't work like that. You have to just
cruise with it.
Yeah.
I'm interested to dive a little more into, you know, your experience with Wim Hof breathing. You took when he was here. Is that when you learned about it, or?
Not with Wim Hof. I did it with Laird Hamilton.
Oh, okay. At the XPL?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did. I'm a huge fan of Laird Hamilton. Like since I was little. Like
it's the OG surfer.
Yeah,
OG.
it's
Such a badass.
Especially when I grew up as a surfer. You know,
that's
he
cool.
was the legend. Like I had a big poster of him. And then when I got I don't know if I got an email from the gym from my building. They say we have a session with Laird Hamilton. I was like, I'm going. Like especially I was getting into the Wim Hof thing. I discovered the Wim Hof that time, and then I saw that Laird Hamilton was doing the same thing. So I did it, and at some point I kind of freaked out because it was my first time doing like a breathing exercise, and I got paralyzed.
Tingly, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And I didn't know what was gonna happen, because I swear my fingers were kind of started getting weird. I was like, oh,
Like, shit, how am I gonna perform tonight?
I was like, am I getting like a seizure or something?
Yeah.
You know, like I freaked out. But it's crazy, like how it, like you feel like so good right after it. Like when like he brings down the breathing rhythm. It's crazy. Like you feel like the whole body got like oxygen and like you feel like rejuvenated. You know, like it's completely new. And like I imagine if you do that like on a daily basis, you know, like it's crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting. Actually, one of my good friends, she was one of the first U.S. instructors certified through Wim Hof out in San Diego, and she taught me up in West Palm a couple years ago, and it was a big game changer for me and my clients. You know, like people lose sight of the fact that your breath is actually very healing, like the ability to actually bring in better amounts of oxygen and be able to expel more CO2, because I think people lose sight of the fact that, like, when you get tired and you start gasping for air, it's not really it's not the oxygen that's making you, or the lack of oxygen that's making you tired. It's the fact that you have a lot of CO2 in your body.
Yeah, but it's I think it's not only like getting tired when you work out. It's actually like even
In
like
general, yeah.
when you're sitting, like if I'm in my studio, like working on music, sometimes you don't feel just like you the way you're breathing. Sometimes it's not you forget about like inhaling or something. It's just like your rhythm is like not.
It fluctuates.
Like, yeah.
So you gotta align yourself again.
Yeah. So like you have to have it in mind and like think of it, and also like it helps you like with stress. Like sometimes like you get like kind of like anxiety or something, and the breathing helps because it's the the way like if you breathe like very slowly, you focus on the breathing more than your problems, and then you just get like relaxed.
So do you use that for your before getting onto a set?
Like when I take like before going to a club, like before playing, or like when I take breaks, when I'm making music, I take a break, and then I just lay down in my studio and put my legs up and start breathing.
Yeah, did you get hooked enough where like you bought one of those ice tubs and everything? Did you jump into that?
Not yet. I'm still into just like cold showers.
He's gonna go to Syracuse for that.
Yeah, you don't need a barrel for that. You just go out in the snow and you'll be fine.
Yeah, like but like I'm working my way into it. Like now like I'm more like into like the breathing, trying to hold my breath for like over like a minute and a half, like up to 2.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
That's a good amount.
I mean, like we have said like you can hold it like up to like I think like 4 minutes or 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think like 5.
Yeah,
I mean, like
it
you
was
see
5.
these free divers. It's a different technique than what Wim uses,
Yeah.
but some of these free divers go 6-7 minutes.
Wow.
Without breathing air.
That's
That's crazy to me. I don't have the balls for that.
yeah. Like I mean, like after like like probably like I think like the maximum I did is like 90 seconds.
I mean, that's good for just it's been a couple of months since Laird came
Yeah.
in. It really hasn't been that long. So
But I mean, it's a good thing because when like you exhale, like you feel like like it's such
like
a
a
good
release.
feeling.
yeah, I do. I use it when I'm in the infrared too, because it's like
I never tried that. Like I heard,
Oh, it's good.
Yeah?
Yeah, you should try it out for sure. It's I mean, it's hot as fuck in there.
Yeah, like I mean, I do like a sauna or like a steam room.
Yeah, the thing with the steam room that I don't really like though is that you like all those vapors.
Yeah, you breathe in. Like so, I prefer sauna because it's dry. But like now, like they close my sauna in my building.
Yeah, it's rough, right? First world problems for sure. It's like fuck, they closed the sauna in my high rise. God damn it. No, but it's interesting how we always talk about it. How the things that we talk about in health and fitness really translate to a lot of other aspects of life and other businesses. We always make the analogy between like finances and your health, but it's great to hear from you and see kind of how the things that we've been preaching to people for years now, you utilize on your own and that you found beneficial in your craft and what you've been doing. So, it's always cool to kind of hear people's stories and see like how I can kind of connect the dots between, the things that I tell my clients and the people that, take our classes and what you do, which is, is completely different, health and wellness and nightlife. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you want to be productive and you have to take care of your health. Like if you wake up sluggish, like you don't feel like working, you don't feel like doing anything, and if you're not taking care of yourself, like your diet, everything, like, it's like a domino effect. Like if you mess up somewhere like in like your health or like fitness or whatever, like you're not working, it helps you like mentally, physically, everything, you know. I mean, first thing, like when I wake up, first thing is like I have like a routine. So like I don't like, you know, get like a fat, like big breakfast. I just start with like lemon water, like hot lemon water, go work out, do my workout, and then come back, get a juice, then start like working on, you know, on music. And it's very important. Like it's like a small detail. Like people say, oh, it's not gonna change anything, but it's
No, it's huge.
yeah,
It's huge.
it's huge. Like if you take care of yourself, like you have more. You know, like you're more excited to do something when once you know that you did your workout, you did everything. You know, like
So would you say like before you had those healthy habits implemented into your daily routine, going back to when you started performing, you know, before doing any of that to when you started implementing that, did you see a change in your performance? Did you see a change in the way you were working on set, you know, giving a performance to these people by having those healthy habits embedded throughout your day?
big time, because sometimes, you know, you drop the ball, like you let it go, like especially like it used to happen to me when I was touring a lot. So like lack of sleep, you come back and then you stop going to the gym for a week, and then it's hard to get back to it. And then next thing you know, you're like 3 weeks without gym, and like you don't feel good, like you feel sluggish. You don't have like, you know, the
drive.
you know,
Yeah.
to make music and stuff. So, but when I start, like, you know, it's all about discipline. You know, like if you discipline yourself in doing something, and also I read this book. It's very interesting. It's called Atomic Habits.
Oh, it's a great book.
James Clear.
Yeah.
He broke it down, like he made it so simple. It's like even if you do 1 minute push-ups, like you did it. You did it, and then that's it. That's how like whenever I wake up, it's like, okay, I'm gonna do my workout. I do like a 25-minute or 30-minute like explosive workout, and then like I'm done with it. You know, like I can go out with my day. You know, and it's if you discipline yourself in doing that, and sometimes, you know, let's say like you don't have time to do it, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, just like, or like 30 push-ups. At least do something, and then go on with your day. Like mentally, you're gonna feel like better.
Yeah, I know. Wow, I'm blanking on his name. Navy SEAL. I can't remember. Jocko Wilkins.
yeah.
You know, he always talks about, like, you know, and I grew up
40%.
Yeah, well, I grew up, you know, around the military. One of the largest military army base in the country is in Fort Drum, not too far from Syracuse. You know, so military people, you know, I've been getting advice from people in the military for a long time, and one of the biggest things that even Jocko says is, you know, like, start by making your bed. You make your bed, like, at least you can check one thing off the list, and then you can kind of move forward from there. And it's the same thing with your workout. Like, doesn't have to be crazy. As long as you do something, you start kind of getting the blood flowing, and then it can kind of all roll out from there. I know that we're almost at an hour. I wanted to ask you one question. I know Mendes has a question, but, you know, all of this preparation over the years that you've done, you know, being in the industry for so long, like, what was that first moment you had where you were like, holy fuck, I can't believe that I'm here?
Well, I mean, like in my career,
Yeah, in your career.
it was like the first time playing for like 30,000 people in a festival.
Jesus. I always thought about that. I was like, how epic would that be just to see everyone just going fucking ape shit?
Well, you know, it's funny because you're so nervous that it turns into excitement. So like you're like stressed out, and everything turns into excitement, like into a positive thing. And I remember like before going on stage, you know, like you know, you can hear like people and stuff, and I was like, and it was like, you know, and I was like the only like electronic act. Like,
oh shoot!
Because it was like it was back home. It was in Morocco, and they had like it's like a known city for hippies. It was like a big hippie movement. Actually, Jimi Hendrix has he has a house there.
That's cool.
So like back like in the 60s, they had like a big hippie movement. So they kept doing, like, it's called like they do it like on June 21st, which is like the music you know, like a music day. Like I think back home, I think it's like international. And so they do this festival, and they bring bands from all over the world. Like, and it was the first year they had like an electronic, act, which is like a DJ act. So I was playing after a live band, and I was like, how is this gonna, turn out, because it's a live band. I don't know if they're into like electronic music and stuff. And then I just started playing, and like people like there, they just want like you feel the energy. Like at some point you start
vibe out.
Yeah, you start jumping without feeling it. Like I was like, wow, this is like, I don't want to play a club anymore. I want to play just festival. It's such a different feeling.
That's cool.
Yeah, interesting. Before he always asks a final question at the end of the episodes, but why don't you tell everyone like where they can find you? I know you've been on Twitch lately as well, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm mostly on Instagram now, at Mednas, Twitter at Mednas, Facebook, Mednas Music, and Twitch, Mednas Music too.
Awesome.
So I'm going to ask you 2 questions. First one, what's the craziest shit you've ever seen while you're performing? And then number 2.
That might be explicit.
Ain't matter. And then number 2, what's the biggest piece of advice you can give all our listeners to today?
Well, the craziest thing.
It can be X-rated. It's all right. We're gonna be on YouTube.
I think I've seen like this guy who was probably like rolling balls. Like I've never seen something like that. Like this guy was like on his phone, and like I don't know what he like. I didn't understand what he was doing.
Drooling.
Yeah, like, no, he was like he was like swiping like so fast, like scrolling, and like with the music, and he was going like so fast, and I was like, dude, this guy must be on something. Like
his girlfriend probably
was in
bitching him out that he's fucked up at the club still.
Yeah, and the piece of advice is like discipline, like discipline yourself. Like I don't know who said it, but like it's better like the pain of the discipline than like the pain of regret. Like better discipline yourself and get things done, no matter how long it takes you. Like nobody's running after you. Like you have all the time. Like don't forget about the notion of time. That like I used to be like, oh my god, like I don't have time to do this. Forget about time. Like discipline yourself, no matter how long it takes you. You're gonna get somewhere. Like if you keep working and like you're disciplined. Like you wake up, you do this, you work out, take care of your health, your diet. It's all like it falls down into like discipline. If you discipline yourself in everything, like discipline yourself, like the way you eat, the way you work out, like, and be honest with yourself. Like don't cheat yourself in a workout. Like if you work out, even if it hurts, like don't cut it in half, but don't cheat.
Mm-hmm.
And like even if in your work, like don't cheat in your work. Like do it's all about discipline. Like if you really want to be someone or get somewhere, it's discipline.
I really love that you said that. And, for everybody out there watching and listening, discipline and don't cheat yourself.
Man, thank you for coming on.
Anytime.
Obviously love your music, love coming to see you live. For those of you who are going to be watching and listening, make sure you guys come to Miami and come to LIV, come to Story when everything opens back up. No better music than this guy right here. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, my dude.
Thank you.